All right, now let's bring in our senior reporter and rugby analyst, Thando Mxoli, to unpack South Africa versus Romania Rugby World Cup game in France. A very good afternoon to you, Thando. Well, the game is still going on, but we can already see where South Africa is at. I mean, it was always going to be, or supposed to be, a big win for South Africa after that opener with Scotland. So just talk to us about what your thoughts are about how they're playing. I mean, earlier on, Samantha Marie was speaking to some fans who were saying they could have scored a little bit more tries.
I think we've scored enough tries. I think this was always going to be a victory for the Springboks. But the question is how we're going to play. Because if you look at our fixture list, next week we play Ireland, which is the #1 ranked team in the world. And ideally, this team that's played today would play the following game against Tonga and give the first team a rest just before the quarterfinals. So the performance of this team was more important than the score margin, because we were always going to beat a second-tier nation like Romania. We were world champions at the end of the day, and we need to show respect against both sides. They always knew that they weren't hiding to nothing. We've recorded this victory now. It's a comprehensive victory. We scored tries. We saw some great performances from different players around the field. So ultimately, look, it's a good performance. I think Jacques
Nina there on the screen, 76-0, match finally over.
That's a good winning margin. But Jacques Nina and his coaching team will sit and have to find a replacement for Malcolm Marx, and also see how this team played today, because we all know the Springboks are very quick in terms of settling on what side they're going to play on the week of the match.
Of course, Ireland is our next contender. You talked about Malcolm Marx and how they would then need to find a replacement for him. Ireland beat Romania 80-8. So what should they be looking at? What strategy should they be going into?
Look, Ireland played a very strong team against Tonga last night. But there were a couple of weaknesses that I saw. For example, at the collision points, I think we would offer a much sterner test at the collision points. We'll test their line-out, because we've got a very good line-out. Those are all our strengths. Our scrums is very good. So in terms of the basics of the game, we will give Ireland a very good run for their money. The two teams met last year. It was a very close encounter in Dublin. But still, this year, we're looking very sharp. We're looking like the world champions that we are. Not many teams are going to beat us. This is not being arrogant. It's just the way we've played so far. We've looked like a solid side, which are doing the basics very well. All the players are playing to their strengths. It's a very good problem for Coach Jacques Nina, who now needs to find the right 23 on the day. We talked about Malcolm Marx. I'm one of those who sees this unfortunate injury as one of those glass half full moments, because in losing a world-class player like Malcolm Marx, we have an opportunity to beef up our squad with an area which has been a concern of ours, which is our kicking. We saw our most reliable kicker, Henry Pollard, playing on Friday for Leicester Tigers, his club in England, and he put on a decent performance. We'll be relying on him to come back and basically be up to speed by the time this the team carries on again.
All right, we're going to go to Samantha Marie, who is with fans, I'm told. Of course, Samantha, let's come to you now. Of course, fans must be elated. 76-0 for the Springboks. Talk to us about what's happening there.
Fantastic scenes here from Loftus Park. What do you make of the Springboks performance today?
76-0. Nothing compares to it. We can't wait for next week. It's gonna be lit. We'll be here next week, 9 o'clock. Yeah,
impressive here. The celebrations have obviously kicked.
Look, we were always destined to show force. Definitely an obvious win for us, but I feel like we've shown our depth more than once. We've shown our depth now, and tell Ireland that, look, you thought you were going to have a pushover. Definitely not. We are the world champions, and we will be only the first side to defend our world championship. New Zealand failed, and we'll show them how it's done. Thank you.
As South African supporters, as the world's defending champions, we're looking forward to seeing the Boks in the finals.
This was a beautiful game, and let me tell you something. One thing I like the most is the fact that we're able to score 70. Remember, our biggest competitors in this whole World Cup is New Zealand. Yesterday they won 76, if I'm not mistaken. So we are over 70 as well, and 76-0. So them, it was 76-3. So we are there. I'm happy. Thank you so much.
Well, there you hear it, our fans saying a win is a win. I'm still joined in studio by our sports analyst, rugby analyst and senior reporter Thando Mxoli. Thando, as we wrap up our conversation and obviously having looked and assessed on how well the Springboks have done, who for you or some of those players that stood out, particularly as we, go against Ireland very soon?
There's a couple of players who've put up their hand. Magazolo Mapimpi scored a hat-trick today. Kobus Renach also scored a hat-trick. Grant Williams was playing out of position. A really impressive performance. Our forwards, as usual, they were really on top of their game. Just a quick correction with the fan there. We'd be the second team to defend the World Cup back-to-back. New Zealand, they're also sitting on 3 World Cup wins. So if we win this one, we'll be the only team to have won it 4 times. But that said, there's a number of performances today that really stood out. It's really heartening more than anything else. We've got depth. We don't always have to play our first team. That is, many teams cannot do that. France cannot do that. Ireland cannot do that. They simply don't have the quality in numbers that we've got. So yeah, it's really, again, heartening to see the great performances from across the field from our players.
I mean, I don't want to put you in the spot or anything, but predictions. What do you think? How are we going to fare?
We should beat Ireland. I think at the moment, based on how we're playing, we've got a bit too much for them. Our game is a lot faster. It's a lot more physical. We are a lot more clinical. We haven't conceded a lot of tries. That's another thing that we tend to neglect in this game. Our defense has been really exceptional. We shut down a very good Scotland side, which is probably the most improved rugby nation in the world in the last couple of years. So, I think we will beat them. Our coaching team knows the Irish players very well, having coached there. So I'm not too worried about it. It's just a matter of keeping the injuries down and winning each game as they come along. But I think we'll have too much fun.
And speaking about injuries, actually, that's something that has come out to say, there is concern about the number of injuries at practice time. Very quickly, 30 seconds, your thoughts.
It is a concern. Also, you don't want to lose key players because there are certain players that you'll struggle to replace. Luckily, for example, if we do choose Andre Pollard later tonight, he will come back into the side. We've got Lucanio Am, who was a contender of Player of the Year last year. He's out. He's basically here in Joburg, trying to heal and hoping that there's an injury in the team. So it's situations like that where you don't want to be hamstrung by key injuries to key personnel players.
Fantastic, Thando. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you on air with us and just analysing what we've just seen. Of course, a fantastic day for South Africa, 76-0 against Romania there. That was Thando Mxoli just joining us here in studio.